So we got a question from Rudy, who says he feels like he's ridiculously shy in his jiu-jitsu classes. He says he's 15 years old, and in his gym, the way that they do it is 14 years old and younger go to the kids class, 15 years old and up, they go to the adult class. So he's at the bottom of the age bracket in his gym, and he says that in his gym, he talks to his training partners, but he feels very shy, and he feels very hard. It feels like it's hard for him to open up to the rest of the class. And he says that when he sort of interacts with the adults, he feels like he gets kind of a standoffish or slightly cold sort of feeling from them. And so his question is that normally he's kind of a talkative guy, he's a very funny guy. He says when he gets to know you, he opens up, but he says he's having trouble opening up in his classes that he's been training. He's been training for a couple months. And so he's wondering, how can he deal with the shyness? How can he overcome the shyness in his gym? And then the second thing is, how can he connect with some of these adults and sort of, become part of the group so that he doesn't feel like they give him this feeling. You like little hand wave there? So Rudy, thank you for the question, brother. And so, when you're talking about being shy, I really don't think that you're being shy. I think that you're going through things in a normal sort of relationship dynamic, right? Whether it be with a person or a group, there's a natural sort of rhythm that things normally sort of take place. There was a cool analogy that I saw years ago in a audiobook that I downloaded from Audible. It was Christopher Vogler and Michael Haig. They did this thing on screenwriting and storytelling and all this stuff. And one of the things that they were talking about was the symbolism used in a particular movie about this kind of thing. So I'll tell you the analogy. In the movie Shrek, when Shrek goes to save the Princess Fiona, he's wearing armor, right? Now he's an ogre. If you haven't seen the movie, he's an ogre. So he's a big green ogre, and he's going to save the princess. Now, if a big green ogre went and saved the princess, she'd probably be like, no, don't save me. I don't want you. So he has armor on. And so when he goes to save her, she doesn't think that he's an ogre. She thinks he's a knight. And so she goes with him. And then as he gets to know her along the way, he begins to take that armor off and expose that he's really an ogre. Now, what they were talking about in the movie is or in the audiobook is that's kind of how we approach social situations, right? Like when we go to meet someone, whether it be a person or a group, we a lot of times sort of fill the person out, or we fill the group out, and we kind of like figure out how we belong and what kind of people these people are. And then as we become comfortable and warm up to them, what do? We take the armor off and expose who we really are on the inside. And I mean, this is just a natural thing. I mean, think about it this way, Rudy. Imagine that you just met someone and they immediately came up to you and they're like, hey, let me tell you all about my life. Let me tell you about all these crazy things that happened to me, and I just met you for the first time. You would be like, whoa, get away from me. Like, I just met you. Don't tell me your life story. I don't need to know it. Ooh, back off. Now, if that same person over the course of months or years developed a relationship with you and you guys talked, you would be like, yeah, come here, let's talk about it, whatever, right? So there's a natural sort of rhythm that takes place. And so as you begin to warm up to the group, you'll probably naturally lose your shyness. Now, flip that around. The older guys are looking at you, and you've got a couple things going on there. One, you're talking about the fact that you are in a sport with a very high attrition rate, right? Jiu-jitsu simply just, it's a tough sport. Not everybody sticks around, right? The second thing is that you're a young guy, you're a teenager. And so a lot of times with adults, they're naturally kind of standoffish a little bit with, from what I've seen with the younger guys when they come in, because, again, a lot of these guys are here to train. And so they want to know, before they invest a lot of time in you, they want to know, one, are you really going to stick around? And you're a young guy, are you really here to train? Or are you here to just mess around? And so, and I think you are, because I saw your videos or your picture on Instagram where you're wrestling. So imagine you wrestled, you're doing jiu-jitsu, you've got the grappling gene in you. You want to do this stuff. So what I would say is, to sort of prove that to them, you show up consistently, don't go anywhere, right? Show that you're here to stay, and then prove that you're a good training partner by working your butt off. I know that I have a lot of young guys in this gym that are like in their teenage years, and it kind of goes that way. Like at first, maybe guys don't really kind of gravitate towards them, but once they realize that they're there to train hard, no qualms. They'll get down and drill with them just the same as anyone else in the gym. So I just say that to you. I think that's a pretty good idea, right? I mean, keep training. You could probably answer every video that I have with keep training, and then can prove that you're there to train. Now, the second thing, or not even the second thing, the last thing I wanted to throw in this video for you is just something to throw in. Listen. Listen to all these guys around you. You're a young man, right? You're a young teenager. You're going through all these formative years. Listen to the wisdom that surrounds you, because you're around older guys, and it's a cool thing. Like, when I got into jiu-jitsu, I was 18 years old, and so I was a young guy, and I was just getting ready to get my adult life started, and I was so lucky that, you know, I would travel across town from the poor area that I grew up in, travel across town then to the, you know, the nicer, more affluent area, but I was surrounded by all these guys that were like doing stuff. They were, you know, successful in their businesses, or they were taking care of their families, they were working their butts off, and they were trying to improve themselves on the mat. I was surrounded by those types of people. And so when these guys would talk, I would just shut up and listen, right? Because I'm just trying to like give me some of that wisdom, right? Like I would listen to the way that they did things, and it rubbed off on me. And it was a big reason I'm here. I mean, like some of my mentors are a direct reason why I ever got into the idea of like running a business or anything like that. Like Al, if Al's ever, he watches some of my videos sometimes. So if Al's watching this, right? Like he's one of the big reasons I got into all this stuff, because he was a jiu-jitsu guy, and he was a business guy, and he would literally just help me out with things. And even now as an adult and you know, well into my adult years, there's older guys in this gym who, when I have a problem, I go to them and I ask them questions. They give me a perspective from their vantage point, through their life wisdom, and it's very helpful. I don't always take their advice wholesale, but again, it gives me a good vantage point to sort of compare with my own. And so what I would say is, you know, again, you're in this cool thing where we have young men and older men being able to come together on equal ground. And again, women and older women and younger women too, but I'm a guy, so I'm looking at it from that point. But it's very cool because we don't have a lot of places where younger men and older men can come together, bond, and be on like level ground with each other, right? Because again, you can have situations where, you know, you could have a teenager that's wrecking this like CEO or something, right? But the CEO might have some good information to give to that young man through his life. But it's a cool thing where you can kind of bring those two things together. And so what I would say is, in that dynamic, you're going to be under the junior role. You're going to be like the little brother. Be okay with that. And don't feel the need to always talk. Be willing to listen to all these guys in your gym, man, and just sort of soak in some of that wisdom if it's there. So anyway, I'm starting to ramble on at that point, but I think the message is clear. Train hard, be consistent, allow yourself time to warm up, and I guarantee you everything will be fine. You'll become like one of the little brothers in the gym, and then as you get older, it'll flip, and the younger guys that are behind you, they'll be like your little brothers as you help pull them up. So, Rudy, thank you for the question, brother, and good luck with your training.